In this session, we're going to talk about Dasher Atlas planning. Here's an exercise that I have prepared for everyone on how to plan your Dasher Atlas for your assignment, especially for the environment like this. So what do we actually need to do? So the Dasher Atlas is actually a grid system. It's actually a guide for us to plan. What do we plan for? We plan for the texture before we start modeling, and it doesn't have to be the final, but it does give you an idea of what is the resolution of the pieces, the polygon faces that you want to put on the 3D model. And sometimes, right, when we have this kind of planning, right, this is very useful because we also help our modeling, because we'll know where to plan our edge flow, know where to put our lines, where to put our topology, and then we know the topology that we're using, right? The particular polygon face are all squarish, a little bit rectangle, and sometimes it can have very good resolution because we already know, let's say a square. How much does a square cost? For example, here if we're using a 2048 Dasher, and this is our planning, and then if you divide by 4, you get about half of it, 1024, hence 1024 pixel. And then if you go to further 1/4 of that, you get about 512 per piece. So knowing this information is very important. We use this guideline to plan our scene. So how do we actually go about? One of the things about when you're creating environments, right, we need to understand, example like this, how much texture can we put into one large atlas that has everything. In that way, we can actually save a lot of memory. Because in the previous video we talked about how we can actually increase memory performances by reducing the texture. So here's an example. We've had this kind of scene that's pre-planning. Let's start with the floor. So how do we actually divide the floor? What I'll do is I will cut the floor into 4 squares, because I'm knowing that if I use the whole square, it's gonna be blur. Then I cannot put into one atlas. But if I just use 1/4 and repeat 4 times, and this Dasher itself, the wooden floor tile, I will tile it 4 times, and my resolution is about 1024 pixel. So this is how I calculate, because 1 square is equal to 512, 2 square is 1024, so we have about 1024, and that is how I will use my wooden floor tile Dasher here to be tileable. So how do we go to the second one? Let's add more items to it. Second, I'll add the concrete wall tile. So the concrete wall tile is something quite similar to the floor, the size, so why not I just split into 2, and I'll get 2 times the resolution. So here you can see that I actually tile 4 times on the 2 walls. If you compare with the floor, it's almost the same size, and we know the resolution is 1024, 1024. So here's 1024, 1024. So the Dasher density will remain the same, and this is one very crucial information when you make environments or making 3D models. We need to make sure the texture density, which is the texture resolution, must remain consistent throughout the scene. So you don't have one item is super sharp, another item is actually super blur, right? So let's add another third item. In this time, the stone wall tile here, we just going to use about this 1/4 of it. So it's gonna be a rectangle. Our planning doesn't have to be a square Dasher. At times we actually can decide to break out the pieces into smaller. So here I only use this small part only, and it's good enough because it's actually 1024 horizontally, and 512 about here, 512 height. So it's still good enough because I can tile it 4 times. So that's how I plan. And How about items like this? The door is actually large enough. If you compare to the floor, it's actually almost the same as the entire square. So why not we use 1/4 of the 2048 Dasher Atlas and we use it to unwrap a door. Now in this case, it's a bit different because in this one, the door is not a square item, but we actually can treat it as an asset by itself, and because it's actually can be unwrapped. Unwrap means that we can actually just planar, then we stretch the UV, fix the stretch UV, and also we planar the entire door with a uniquely UV set, and we actually place it in this square, so the door can be something like this and unwrap. So we'll explore this about asset creation further on with unique unwrap UV. Then how do we put inside Atlas? That was something we'll touch in the coming classes. So continuing on, what do I add? How about this one, the pillar? So the pillar itself, I actually just need to use a very small little piece of here, right? And it's almost the same resolution as the stone wall. So I get the same resolution because it's 1024 times 512. So then I divide here by half, I will get something very sharp because I don't need it to be rectangle long. I just need it to be half of it, and I repeat so many times on so many faces. And even the small little faces here on the column base and on top here, we actually can just use one part of here, just enough already for us to use. There's something for you to think about. That's why hence the word tile, we can use it many times. Finally, let's add a window. So the window is actually almost the same as a door, but it's actually a smaller size. Look at it, I only have this space left because I have actually used up all the spaces, right? So what I do is the window, I will just unwrap over here. Unwrap in this small little, in this 512 times 1024 space, and it will be good enough for me to do the tiling. Okay, no, sorry, unwrap. So windows and door, we can actually use unwrap because these are two actually unique objects that maybe we need a bit more take care of it, of the texture, resolution and stuff. So this is one examples of actually how you can actually create a very nice atlas. Now you probably ask me, what if would I want to add the bookshelf, the table, the chair, the lamp? How will I do it? Very simple. You just add another texture atlas grid. Over here we can add another texture, so it doesn't have to be just one texture. You can actually use multiple texture, but as long as you plan it into a atlas grid, you actually save a lot of texture memory. So here's an example of, let's say you want to add an items to an atlas. The bookshelf, the books, can it be just part of one huge texture? Yes, of course. Even the leaf. Assuming that you have maybe another unique wood you also want to add in, just for uses of make more differentiation or carpet, you can actually put into this. And that is items that you use, right? Does it follow the atlas grid? Let's explore. Okay, so here we have an atlas grid of 2048 divided again. So we have 16 squares of 512. Let's see whether the previous texture that we just saw fall under the atlas grid. Yes, it is. So you see here, the floor itself is actually 1024, and the boot itself is 1024 512. And notice that the boots in the middle doesn't actually follow the grid, but it does fall under a cluster. Okay, a cluster. So atlas grid is a guide. It doesn't have to be followed 100%, but it does give you an idea when you want to break up your texture, you know how to plan, how much this cost, how much this frame will worth. So then you know this when you make your object, you already know already. Okay, I'm gonna use this one. This is gonna cost me about how much is it here? How much it will cost? How about the leaf itself? This one will cost me about 512 to 56, maybe. Yeah. Right. So, example, the couple itself. This one can even be a whole stretch like this, like 1024 times 512. When you know about this, then you can plan. What else can we use with Atlas Grip? A lot of things. Here, more example here. Let's look at the previous asset that we actually try in the exercise, which is the barrel. Does the barrel follow the grip? Let's check. Yes, it is. So you know already. So the top barrel, the side, the faces are around 2048 times 1024, but it doesn't actually follow the half of it. It actually cuts through a little bit more. Sometimes you need that because it might not be nice to just try to stretch everything. Then you notice actually some of the maybe the obvious thing will be stretched. Okay, like the screw. How about the two top and bottom circle face? Yes, you see that? How much is it? Is the resolution? It's 1024 times 1024. Does it follow exactly 1024 and 1024? Almost. It doesn't actually need to fit the entire 4 square, but it does fit nicely into this part here. Then we know this circle is 1024. This circle is 1024, close to it, and then we have a very nice resolution. We can even use this on unwrapped object. Remember, the barrel was actually unwrapped, and we can get very high resolution. But sometimes when we're making environment like this, right, it's actually meant for something isometric games. If we don't go into too near like first person or third person games, like a lot of the FPS games in the industry, you see like Uncharted, Tomb Raider. So we still can plan a little bit lower resolution by combining a lot of texture. But once we go into a bit more very dense item which become more realistic, then we have to uniquely unwrap a lot of the texture itself, and we actually can use the Atlas Grip to plan our texture UV. Right, so here's an extra example. What if you want to do for characters? Let's check. Yes, you see here. Here's an example of a character texture, and it's actually an example of this. Do you see that? So this character could be fully unwrapped with a 2048 times 2048 texture. But how do we divide it? So here's a good way of knowing it. So character is fully unwrapped, and it doesn't really follow the Atlas Grip, but it does give a lot of guidelines on how much is this space cost. This space is around 1 square is about 512 times 512. How about let's say this part here? What is this here? Is the leg itself is about 512 to 512. So knowing this, right, we have more information like the cloth itself, the body is about here is about 1024 times 512, slightly bigger, maybe somewhere in between third quarter of it, maybe, but it does follow the planning, so you don't waste a lot of texture away. The most important is when we do this planning, right, we don't actually wasted a lot of textures, UV spaces that it can be wasting a lot of texture memory. Like we try to squeeze everything as close as possible. Hence, that's why you have all this Atlas texture that looks very cramped. Even here, like it actually is one of the steps when we make Atlas Grip. Sometimes we don't know what to put yet, but we actually leave some empty space. This one we'll explore in the upcoming term where we actually do more texture creation. At the moment, I need you guys to understand about the usage of texture alias grip. So here, character is also a possibility. And let me show you one about this. This is actually a texture I created myself for most slightly realistic kind of environment. So it can be run on stylized realism to realism, anything, right? As long you can know how to use it, the grid, then you actually can plan on how to model it on the 3D model itself, because all the lines give you indication how to split the polygon. Right, so if it's okay, right, let's go back here. Now you know how to plan. Very good. Now, what about giving yourself a little bit more exercise? Why not try this, try out with some of the different environment. For example, okay, you can try this. It's actually quite a lot of sci-fi. Then you can plan, what do I do with this? How much could I use texture? How many texture can I use if your environment assignment is like this? You also can plan for a bit more like the kitchen tile. A lot of things here. Maybe the wall and the floor itself can be one texture, and the item itself, if you see, we can squeeze as maybe 2 to 3 alias texture to finish the entire scene. Maybe it's a possibility. How about a more complex scene? Then you probably ask yourself, is there anything I can repeat use here? Maybe like a lot of the maybe the cover and stuff. Whether is it repeatable texture? Maybe. So you can use this one to plan. Do you take this exercise as an extra knowledge or extra training for yourself to plan for your assignment? How to see some good result from you? It's not compulsory for you to do this, but at least you can try the maybe one to ensure to me if you understand how this thing works. Alright, then I'll see you in the next video.